trade union, SAFTU, says it strongly condemns President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to approve a 3.8% salary increase for top political office bearers, including the President, Deputy President, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Premiers, MECs, and Members of Parliament. The approval of the above inflation pay hike comes following the recommendation from the Independent Commission for the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers in December. For more, we are joined now by Newton Masuku, SAFTU National Spokesperson. Newton, thank you so much for your time. You're saying that these increases stand in stark contrast to the lived realities of the working class.
Indeed, we are saying that. The Department of Labor will tell you that there are over 5 million workers who are earning just on the minimum wage. That is to say 5,610 per month, in a 45-hour week. And that tells you that when you contrast that, on the one hand, vis-a-vis just the household food basket alone, which cost in excess of 5,000 rand, excluding, of course, rent, electricity, transport to and from work, it tells you that the overwhelming majority of the working class are unable to feed themselves. Now, you have that particular problem on the one hand, and then you have the commission of the Independent Commission for the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers, proposing in actual fact 4.1% increase for the already highly earning individuals in public office. And we take serious issue with that. We say it is hypocritical, especially because the teachers, the nurses, the doctors and all of that are always told that they must tighten their belts, and they always receive just above inflation increases, sometimes not even above inflation increases. And they are told that there's a problem with the fiscals. In other words, the budget does not suffice to cover their wage demands, whereas these high-ranking political office bearers remunerate themselves, agree to remunerate themselves with these obscene amounts. The president alone will get an increase of 133,000 per year. The deputy president, 124,000. The ministers, 106,000 per year, and so on and so forth. The total cost is estimated to be 500 million in a country, to be upward of 500 million in a country where schools are understaffed and overcrowded, hospitals are understaffed and overcrowded, and so on and so forth. And vacant posts are not being filled because we are told that they constitute a burden to the fiscals and the budget must be consolidated. We find it absolutely hypocritical for the president to have approved this wage increase proposal.
Are your concerns also exacerbated by the fact that these public office bearers and these politicians also have benefits that have never really been reviewed properly?
Absolutely. The benefits are obscene. The estimation, by the Auditor General pointed out that just the security of a single minister can be between $1 million and $2 million. Now, if you add the fact that these people have staff and they have housing and all of that, it is estimated that the total cost will give you up to 5 to 7 million just per minister, right? And that is obscene. It has never been reviewed, and particularly in a country where we are told that we must tighten our belts. Just last year, you had to have three budgets in the higgling and haggling of what culminated into budget 3.0. The bone of contention there was the increase of 2 percentage points in VAT. What was the argument of that? The argument was that the National Treasury does not have sufficient revenue to enable the government or the state to discharge its constitutional mandate. And therefore, we had to carry the burden of an additional 2 percentage point of VAT increase. Right? In the midst of that, they have the gall, the audacity to give themselves this increase, which will amount to upward of 500 million. But secondly is that the minister himself, in the medium-term budget policy statement last year in November, he pointed out that there is a huge possibility of another tax review. In other words, there is a possibility of an attempt by the National Treasury to impose another taxation on the part of the working class. Well, while on the other hand, they are saying, well, we are giving ourselves an increase despite the fact that there is a problem. I mean, you must remember that the independent commission for the remuneration of public office bearers says it looks at the fiscal sustainability, amongst other things, when it proposes a wage increase, the fiscal sustainability, and whether or not the state itself can afford that. Well, it has proposed 4.1% to these high-ranking political officials in a country where there is a possibility of a tax increase, in a country where doctors have been marching. Last year, unemployed doctors have been marching, demanding to be absorbed into the public health system, precisely because those who are in the public health system are understaffed and overworked, but because also they are qualified, and the public is in dire need of the expansion of doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals. The same applies to the teachers, right? Teachers, I mean, they are over 30,000 by some estimates, over 30,000 vacant posts that are not filled, leading to overcrowded schools that are understaffed, and therefore the children not having sufficient care and being able to be educated properly. Most of them cannot even read for meaning, precisely for the reasons that I've already given. Yet these high-ranking public officials have the gall, the nerve, the audacity to give themselves this increase on top of already obscene amount of earnings that, in addition to benefits that they already have.
Yeah, you raised the issue of the budget, and some analysts are highlighting how ahead of the budget, and when the budget comes, the finance minister will have to deliver a budget that reflects resource tensions we are facing right now. Talk to us about what your view is in relation to what's about to come, the budget that will be delivered next month.
Well, in all likelihood, the minister will slash and burn when the budget comes next month, precisely because the National Treasury is explicitly clear that it is chasing what it calls the primary budget surplus of 1.8% in the medium term. In other words, the state must not spend in excess of the revenue it collects. It must have surpluses in its budget. And that tells you that the trajectory of austerity, which we have always decried, will continue, right? And the cuts to public spending in health, in education, in policing, and so on and so forth, will persist and will continue. But despite that, and this is the point, despite that, they have room, right, to give themselves in excess of 500 million rands of increases without betting an eyelid. I mean, just last year, I mean, in 2024, before the national elections, the Democratic Alliance, for instance, marched to COSATU House. And one of its major grievances was that the national minimum wage is problematic in that it is too high, it undermines employment, and so on and so forth. In a country where, as I've already said, over 5 million workers and between 5,600 rands and 6,000 rands. I mean, and with a food basket of over 5,000 rands, excluding, as I've said when I began, transport, electricity, and all of that. Now, they have a problem when workers demand increases. They are saying workers are killing the economy, as it were, right? These increases are unreasonable. They have a problem when public servants, I mean, so the teachers, the nurses, the police are demanding increases. At some point, in fact, they sometimes call them selfish for demanding increases that are at least above inflation so that they can be able to feed themselves. Right? But they have the goal, as I've said, the temerity to give themselves massive increases on top of what they're already earning, unjustifiably so, in our view.
Let's talk about your demands now. You're not only calling for the reversal of this increase, but you're also saying that there needs to be a redirection of public resources towards job creation.
Indeed, that's our contention. We are saying vacant posts must be filled. Those doctors that have been protesting so that they can be absorbed to serve the public must be absorbed. Point number two, the vacant post must be filled so that teachers and nurses can be able to discharge their mandate to the public, so that the public is able to get quality healthcare, quality education, and so on and so forth. But also we are saying the job guarantee is necessary, including the universal basic income grant. I mean, just the SRD grant itself did not even get an increase that is on par with inflation itself, right? Yet they themselves have given themselves increase above inflation, whereas about millions of people who rely on this SRD grants did not even get that particular. So we are saying, of course, there must be a review of the ministerial handbook that dishes out obscene amounts of benefits to these ministers, the deputy ministers, and all high-ranking public officials. But also that particular money should be redirected, indeed, to staff the public service, the healthcare, education, policing, home affairs, and so on and so forth, so that it is able, as I've said, to discharge its public mandate.
At the moment, you're still making these calls and these demands. So what happens if nobody heeds this call?
Well, next week SAFTU is going to convene its extended campaigns committee, and amongst other things, of course, will be to review the state of affairs in the country and to put a program forward. Of course, last year we had that particular campaigns committee. It formulated itself into task teams, and we began assessing the problems that are confronting the working class in general. But also, indeed, this week it will be, this week, the week we are going into, it will be the reassessment of that particular program and to begin to roll out mass actions in defense of the livelihood of the working class that is continuing to diminish, while the highest public ranking officials continue to live a life of lavish luxury, completely detached from the misery of the working class.
Newton Masuku is SAFTU's national spokesperson. Thank you very much for your time.